Hello everyone, how's it going? This is Ryan, and today we're going to do a video which, to be honest, from memory, I don't actually see a lot on YouTube in terms of how to mix this, but how to mix a cajon. So in this particular song, I don't know if any of you are currently subscribed, or if you're not, I released a song recently called Paint the Ashes Gold. It's got a cajon in it. And I just thought to myself, you never really hear cajons in a lot of music these days. It's usually sort of covers and stuff. And I believe when I first started, I was trying to find videos on how to mix them and blah, 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 how to do this, that, and the other. And there was very limited kind of resources. So in today's video, we're going to delve into that. So I'm just going to play a little bit of a clip from this song, just so you can kind of get an idea on the sound. And then we'll delve into the processing that I have done with the cajon. So yeah, let's have a listen.
I just need to be a perfect person. I just need to feel instead of hurting. I just need to be someone's sweetheart. I just feel I need a mental restart. I just need a spark, a light within the dark. Do you see what I see? Cause it seems that way to me. We were so colorful, but now we're gray and dull.
Okay, so you get the idea there. So I'm going to be real with you guys. In this mix, there's not a lot of processing that's needed for the cajon. So it's quite an ambient kind of mix. And with the cajon, essentially, and any drums really, any sort of beat or heavy kind of driving force in the sense of the actual like rhythm of the song, I just think you don't need to put reverb on drums too much. I think they just sound a little bit naff, if I'm honest. So drum roll please. Basically I've just put EQ where I've targeted certain frequencies to make them kind of cut through the mix. So obviously the high end, you want that presence to kind of cut through. This essentially is how similar to how you'd mix a bass drum or a kick drum. You just got that really sort of fuddy sort of frequency there, where you're just really letting that like punch through. And then also I've used basically a bass drum thing for the low end, and for the high end I believe I used a snare off memory. Yeah, so you're just sort of playing around with a snare preset and then just adjusting each individual band on the multi-band compressor to make it sound perfect, basically. So yeah, that is literally it. It's just EQ and compression. You could, in theory, depending on the kind of mix you're going for, you could put a saturation plugin similar to the likes of Magneto, which I'll just show you in Cubase. So basically what this is a distortion plugin which is mainly used for things like mastering, vocals, drums, guitars, piano, your typical kind of main instruments, and it just elevates it a little bit and brings that bit more of a presence. So if you find that this mix is obviously quite ambient, if you're mixing something that's a bit more poppy, a bit more upbeat, a bit more bright, and you just want that drum to really like punch through and have that bit more presence, this is where you want to go with that. Depending on, obviously I've used samples here. You would also potentially need a gate just to kind of control any potential sort of background noise, but just to kind of give you an idea on what I've kind of worked with here, if I just turn off the inserts just real quick on these two layers and solo them, you'll get a bit of an idea on the sound. So here we go. And then with, I'll just sort of do it as we go. So when you listen to it on its own, and this is the thing that always surprises me with mixing, it always sounds so full on and processed when you basically you solo the drums. You're like, oh my god, that sounds so like compressed and distorted and in your face, and oh my god. But in reality, when you bring everything else up and you have that kind of saturation, when you master it or whatever you do, you can't notice, and that's the beauty of this. So elevating those frequencies, like I said, and this is the key takeaways now, guys. For the low end, if you're doing it similar to me where you're using samples, or even if you mic'd it up and you've separated it into different mics, then basically you just treat it as a bass drum and a snare. If you were working with one mic, potentially you would have to get a bit creative with the multiband compressor and the EQ, just to give you a little bit of an idea on what that might look like. So if we demonstrate it on another EQ layer here, you would potentially have a bit of a cut off here, a little bit there. In fact, you'd probably do this on different layers. So you'd probably do like that as like a bass drum layer, EQ sort of thing, similar to what I've done on the original track. And then also for the snare, you'd probably just bring it up a little bit more, sort of like, I don't know where the frequency would be, but somewhere like this, maybe like that. Once again, just bringing that EQ like just slightly up at the top. Just guessing, obviously that's just for anyone that's recording a cajon with one mic, if possible. And the last bit of advice I will give, in a sense of actually recording the cajon, I'd typically use like a mic similar to what you would use on a bass drum inside the cajon, or in the sort of hole entrance of the cajon for the low end, and if you can have a second mic for the high end. I would probably recommend either a condenser microphone, like a dynamic condenser or something like that, just something where like it's not too, how do I put this, the frequency is not too kind of focused, so it kind of is more of a room mic, and what you can do is kind of put that relatively close to the front of the cajon where you're slapping it, and then you can sort of play around with the EQ and de-essing and stuff just to remove any sort of frequencies you don't like. Obviously if you put like a mic which is too focused, you might get a good sound, but I think that kind of slap and that sort of, those sort of taps and the kind of additional frequencies that come with that are quite natural and quite beautiful with a cajon. So that's just how I would do things, but obviously it depends on the mix and stuff like that as well. So hope that has helped in today's video, everyone. If you have any questions on how to get cajon samples, for example, that's something I can help you with. There are paid kind of samples that I found online on Splice and stuff like that, which of course I've purchased and used before, so that's just something that you could kind of look into. And as well, if you want to kind of integrate that into Cubase, you want to make a cajon kit, for example, using Groove Agent, then that's something that I have another video on as well, which you can take a look at if it helps you. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's helped. Have a great day. Bye bye.